Narset of the Ancient Way Planeswalker deck upgrade. Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, Magic fan. Welcome to another Planeswalker deck upgrade video. But you might be saying, VM Campos, I thought Wizards of the Coast cancelled Planeswalker decks. Why yes, Tammy, you are correct. Planeswalker decks are now extinct, unfortunately. Wizards of the Coast instead has decided to focus on this up-and-coming format known as Commander, which is totally fair. But I'm going to keep Planeswalker decks alive and do videos about them. Now, this video is intended for beginning to intermediate players and is a budget build. That means commons and uncommons is the focus of this video. And a focus on Ikoria-only cards. You can, of course, create an amazing Planeswalker deck with the full breadth of Standard. But as a beginning player, you might not have access to every single card, every single wild card. And then, of course, if you go beyond Standard into Modern, Pioneer, etc., you can craft an even better deck. But we're going to focus on common, uncommons, Ikoria-only, budget build. Now this is the short version of the video. Head on over to my Patreon, patreon.com/vmcampos, and for $1 you will unlock the longer version of the video, which includes the sideboard guide, more expensive upgrades, and just more strategy for the deck. You'll get access to that one, plus the other Planeswalker upgrade videos that I've made, all for $1. You can't afford to pass it up. This video, however, will still feature a well-crafted deck that is pretty fun, on a budget, especially for beginners that have a good Ikoria collection. Let's get started. Alright, so I've got my Arena account loaded up right here. I'll show you the build this way. But of course, you can build this deck with real paper cards once you get your hands on more Ikoria cards. Although it's harder to build in real life because if you're cracking packs, the random nature of it all, or if you're off to buy them from some online store, you have to wait to get them to get the cards. So we're going to check out Arena, where you can just craft this deck a lot easier with your commons and uncommon wild cards. Now, if you notice here, I do have two other Planeswalker decks, a Vivian and a Luca Planeswalker deck. Don't forget to go to my YouTube channel and check out those other ones. There's, of course, the free builds and then the patron-exclusive builds. But let's check out Narset's deck. So we've got the Ikoria-only build right here. I'd also love to hear how you can improve the deck via all of Standard. But here's the star of the deck. We've got Narset of the Ancient Way. 4 mana in total in Jeskai colors. Oops, I mean in Ragrin colors. That's the new name of the triome in Ikoria. It's not Jeskai, that's okay, Boomer, whatever you want to call it. It's Ragrin now. Anyway, 4 mana in total for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker. +1, you gain 2 life. And then you get one of the Ragrin colors. Spend this mana only to cast non-creature spells. This deck has a good mixture of creature and non-creature spells, so that's a little bit of that plus ability that will help you get to the ultimate and gain you a little life. -2, this is how the Planeswalker could protect itself. Draw a card, then you may discard a card. When you discard a non-land card this way, so it has to be done via this minus ability, Narset deals damage equal to that card's CMC to target creature or Planeswalker. So let's say you discard one of the 3 casting cost cards you don't need at the moment. It can then do 3 damage to the opponent's creature. It can either fully destroy that creature or finish it off if something else had started to do a little bit of damage. So in a pinch, if you need to defend Narset and you don't have a creature to defend her, you can do the minus to pitch a card and do damage to a creature. You want to get to the ultimate, though, -6. You get an emblem with, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this emblem deals 2 damage to any target. So that would be the opponent's creatures, Planeswalkers, or themselves right to the face. You want to get to that ultimate, and it's really cool because the emblem sticks around forever, and as of this video, there's no way to interact with an emblem in the world of Magic. Most likely in the future there will. As my good buddy Mark Rosewater has said, there probably will be a way to interact with emblems at some point, but not just yet. This deck has various fun win conditions. One of them is the Ominous Seas, a 2-mana blue spell enchantment. Whenever you draw a card, put a foreshadow counter on Ominous Seas. Once you have 8 of these foreshadow counters, remove them all for no extra mana, and you get an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token. I've been able to, in one game, create 2 Krakens without any problem, as we will see in the rest of the build. And so they never expect a sudden Kraken to appear, as you're simply drawing cards. The other aspect of the deck is the Reptilian Reflection, 3-mana enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, you may have this enchantment become a 5/4 creature with trample and haste. It's also a dinosaur. So you cycle cards away, and at instant speed and haste, you also get this 5/4 attacker with trample. This has been amazing in this deck as well. So those are the 2 big ideas of this deck, either drawing cards to make Krakens or cycling cards to make 5/4s. And we get to that in a very easy way. For example, the Drannith Healer. This is a 2-mana 2/2 with cycling of 1. So if you don't need this creature, cycle it to get another card to add to the Ominous Seas or to give you your 5/4 Reptilian Reflection. You could cast it as a 2/2, and then whenever you cycle, you gain life. So if you need to get back a little bit of life, the Drannith Healer can do its thing. But you usually want to cycle it for 1, and cycling also gives you another card for that outlay of 1 mana. In case you don't need that current card in your hand, cycle this away, get another card. Even if you don't have the Ominous Seas or the Reflection, cycling is always good. Valiant Rescuer, 2 mana for a 3/1, and every time you cycle, you get a 1/1. Actually, be careful here. The first time you cycle per turn, you get a 1/1. You cannot cycle 3 times and get 3 1/1s. Be careful about that. It's once per turn. The first time that you do it per turn, you get that 1/1. I've been able to make a huge board of 1/1s, judiciously playing this. Obviously, as a playset of 4, however, you can make them even faster. Or it can be cycled away if you want to add more to your Ominous Seas or get that Reptilian Reflection. Drannith Stinger, it's a 2/2, cycling of 1, so you again see the synergy happening here. Or, if this is on the battlefield and you cycle another card as many times as you can cycle, it deals 1 damage to the opponent. So even without attacking your cycling stuff, you're getting more cards, you're adding to your Ominous Seas, you're awakening the Reflection, and you're also dealing that 1 damage. With 4 of these on the board, you're going to have so many triggers on the stack, your opponent will auto-concede. Next up, the Raugrin Crystal. It helps fix your mana or cycles for 2. It's a 3-mana mana rock. Helps you get faster to what you need if you cast it, or cycle it for 2 to power all of this amazing synergy that's happening. Startling Development. This is a 2-mana instant that turns your 1/1s that you're making for the Valiant Rescuer into temporary 4/4s. They didn't block that 1/1? Great, now it's a 4/4. What a startling development. Or they do block that 1/1 with their 2/2, and then again you turn it into a 4/4, and whoops, their Hate Bear is done. Cycle for 1 to again power these other cycling strategies. Sleeper Dart. This is a 2-mana artifact that draws you a card, so 2 mana, draw 1 card. What's also useful about it is tap Sacrifice to then lock down your opponent's creature for 1 turn after it has attacked. This has saved me so many times where they attack with their Ajani's Pridebait that's getting out of control. They attack 1 time, I lock it down with the Sleeper Dart. I pulled 3 more of these and I kept locking it down for 3 turns, plus card draws that were adding to the Ominous Seas. So don't sleep on the Sleeper Dart. And lastly, Of One Mind. This is a sorcery for 3 mana, and it costs 2 less if you control a human creature and a non-human creature. So in this deck, you might not really be casting it for the single 1 blue. That's okay, 3 mana to cast this is not so bad. Draw 2 cards, adding to your Ominous Seas very easily, and also refilling your hand. The mana base is pretty easy, it's just 8 of each, plains, islands, and mountains. There's room for improvement here, of course. I leave it up to you. You can put in some Scry lands, some Shock lands. Those, though, are the rare lands if you've got the wild cards for them. But again, it's a budget build. What you have to do, though, is invest in getting the unsanctioned lands. Look at these amazing lands. These will cause your opponent to auto-concede because they're just so amazing and they don't have these lands, but you do. And so lastly, if we look at the stats of the deck, you see that the average casting cost is a 2.4. However, that doesn't take into account your many cycling cards for 1 mana, so it's actually even a lower curve than that. 12 creatures, 24 non-creatures, and you see the spread right there, pretty even in our different colors. So this is what the deck is at the moment. And that's it. That's the basic version of the deck. I think it includes a lot of interesting card interactions. It's got a fun Planeswalker to play with. It's just a really interesting deck, I think. It's a complicated deck to play, I will admit, but once you get all of the pieces working just right and you really understand what's going on, I think it can be a really interesting deck that really shakes up your opponent's will to live. Once you've got that dinosaur coming at them with haste, and you've got your Dranith Stinger doing its thing and building up such a board with so many 1/1s, I think it's a cool deck. If you'd like to check out the sideboard, how do you handle those other decks you might run into, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/vmcampos. For $1 you will unlock it, as well as the other rare and mythic rare cards that I think make the deck even more interesting. So for $1 you get access to that. At the $2 range, I'll actually mail you a card in appreciation straight from my vintage collection to you. But no, not a Black Lotus. Or simply follow for free on that Patreon. You'll be alerted to all of the deck techs and such that I create, all for free. Just click follow on that Patreon. At $1, though, you get more access, and at $2, you get some thank you stuff. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you on Ikoria.